So let's just start this out by me introducing myself to you. I am in no way a super fan. I am not an expert. I have not read all the comic books. I have simply watched most of the Marvel movies. I watched them, I was really excited, really into it all the way through Endgame. And then once we got to Endgame, once it came and went, I was kind of like, all right, don't need them anymore. And, I'd watch a few movies that interested me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch Spider-Man, I'll watch Doctor Strange too. But it kind of became, all right, I'm just going to pick and choose from this point forward. Additionally, I'm not the super fan who watched all the TV shows. I tried watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it was just too much. I was like, I don't want to have to watch a TV show in order to enjoy the movies. I just don't like that. And then, there were other Marvel shows, Jessica Jones, Agent Carter, and it just didn't interest me. And then in the newer wave of Marvel TV shows, there was Loki, which I watched some Loki because I wanted to look at Tom Hiddleston. But then we had Falcon Winter Soldier and the WandaVision, which that one I had no interest in because I was like, yeah, I don't feel the need to watch this. And no, you can't convince me to watch it. Many people have tried. You're not going to convince me. That's it. So, yeah, I'm no expert. I'm a casual enjoyer. I do have a few items because I do enjoy comic books. I do have a casual love of them. This is my modest collection of comic books across Marvel and DC. Back there you have some of my collectibles, like my Storm collectible, one of two of them, a couple of my Pops, and then I have a little framed picture that I ripped out of one of my comic books from my earlier days. My classroom is decorated with comic book characters of Marvel and DC, and oh my gosh, I'm so corny. This is my fanny pack that I wear to work, and then this is the lunchbox that I brought to work every day, although now I have a new one. I'm very, very excited to pop this bad boy out in the upcoming year. So, now that I've gotten my credentials, or lack thereof, out of the way, let's get into it, alright?
It's definitely a no for me, dog.
So, I haven't really read much about other people's opinions on this, just because it's not something I was interested in. I'm like, yeah, okay, Robert Downey Jr. is he's gonna be Doom. Alright. But I noticed that a bunch of people were super stoked about that, and I was like, really? People are really excited? Alright, what am I missing here? And I saw a few people's opinions, and some people were saying, like, oh, this is gonna be great, he's so awesome, I'm excited. And so I thought, is it just me? Now, since the news came out a few days ago, I've had a bunch of people message me about my thoughts on this, because I guess I'm the comic book friend within my many friend groups. And a bunch of people were like, oh, I'm so hype, I'm so excited. What do you think? What do you think? I'm like, don't want to, ruin your excitement, but I'm not too hyped about it. And yeah, I sent out a really long text message to someone who was asking me my feelings about it, and I realized, yeah, maybe I should turn this into a video. Like, I was on my way out. I canceled my plans, and I'm like, let me just sit down and make this video so I can get it all out of my system once, and then be done with it. So, a lot of this is going to be me reading off of my phone the stuff that I have sent to people, and then I'm going to be tossing in some things here and there of, my extra added thoughts. Okay, so the text message exchange starts with, you know, someone going, "Hey, RDJ is gonna be Doctor Doom." I responded with a kind of lukewarm response that I've been giving people, where, you know, I'm saying I don't really know how to feel about that, and I feel more let down than anything else. So I'm not mad, I'm not upset. Those words feel too strong. I think let down is the best description, which I will get into. And so my thoughts was that, you know, it'll either be a new timeline type thing, because Marvel's been loving that, doing the alternate timelines, TVA, stuff like that. You know, with Tony Stark, you know, becoming Doctor Doom. Or, you know, he'll actually get to play Victor Von Doom. But in my thought, even if they do go that route, it feels a little desperate to me on Marvel's side. And I mentioned that it's different from Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan in Fantastic Four to then them transitioning to playing a different Marvel character later, because they weren't that first character for a long time. And then, you know, technically those characters are under a different movie studio at the time, so it's still kind of different going from Sony to Marvel Studios proper. But in this case, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. I feel like as a culture, as a society, we agree Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. The end. And not only is he Iron Man, he's not with us anymore. We saw the end of him in Endgame. And I feel like we all felt really good about that. It was a nice, you know, send-off, and it closed the book well on that character. This just, to me, feels like another example of there are no consequences or nothing is at stake because no one is really, truly gone. You know, so if it is just Iron Man, another timeline, it's kind of like, look, we already said goodbye. Let us say goodbye to this character. Let it be done with. And now is the point where a bunch of you are probably saying, well, what about Deadpool? What about Deadpool and Wolverine, which also came out recently? And I'm going to give non-spoiler things first. Can I even do that? Can I even give non-spoiler things? I don't think I can. I'm going to give some spoilers with a little bit of fangirling tacked towards the end. On the screen is the point to skip to if you don't want spoilers. This is your warning. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. So with Deadpool, I feel like that's a little different. Yes, Hugh Jackman retired as Wolverine. We got Logan, which was a beautiful send-off to the character. But then in Deadpool and Wolverine, he's back. And yes, it is a different timeline Logan. But here's where I think it's different. I think it's different because Deadpool isn't really meant to be taken seriously. Or like, it's not supposed to truly be considered part of the MCU timeline canon connection. You know, that's not what it's for. It's a fun set of movies, which is great. We need those. It's refreshing. Marvel, make more of those, please. Only if you're gonna do it well, though. The Deadpool movies are the only movies within Marvel. Granted, I only really know up to Endgame. I haven't really followed after Endgame. Deadpool's kind of the only set of Marvel movies that's like that, so I see Deadpool as an exception. Also, very quick fangirl. Oh my gosh, I lost my mind seeing Channing Tatum as Gambit. Before I even saw him on screen, when I saw that playing card spinning through the air, I audibly said, "Ain't no way." And then when he walked out in full Gambit wear, I did let out like a yes in the theater. Like, I was very excited. I've been waiting years to see Channing Tatum as Gambit, and I thought that I had to give up on that dream, so that was really nice to see. Granted, we never got Gambit and Rogue, but that's fine. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine. Continuing on, I feel like it almost feels as though Disney is continuing to have a negative influence on the companies that it's acquiring. I saw this in the Star Wars movies after Disney acquired it. The movies stopped feeling as they lost a certain type of adventure that I feel they used to have, and it felt more, if I felt like they lacked a certain type of depth that they used to have, and then it turned into a, you know, Hope kind of became a meme and less of, you know, this is something to be taken seriously. Hope is real. Hope is something to keep alive. And it kind of felt like it turned into, oh, hope and love are the most beautiful, powerful things. Like it felt too airy. It didn't feel as robust, I guess. And that felt like the Disneyfication of Star Wars for me, and that's what took me out of a lot of the newer Star Wars movies. In terms of how Disney's impacting Marvel, it feels almost Disneyfied because this doesn't feel like it's original. A lot of people have been complaining me as well that Disney's been making far too many remakes and not enough original content. And yes, while it's like, yeah, well, it's not like, you know, we're bringing back Doom. It's, you know, this is a new thing for the MCU. It's still like, yeah, but you're using the guy that we all know. Why? You know, and I don't see why we need to bring back a guy who's been our guy for a decade. We've said farewell to this guy, and that's all right. It's part of the cycle. You know, things move on. And there are several outstanding actors out there who could play Doom without costing, like, what, 100 mil or whatever he's gonna get paid. Like, there's a lot of actors who could do that and do it well. Additionally, so here's the thing. So Dr. Doom wears a mask. That's his thing. He's wearing a mask. So that means that one of two things. We're gonna get Robert Downey Jr. showing his face a lot. You know, a la Deadshot in Suicide Squad, where it's like, oh, well, we have this big actor. We want you to know we have this big actor. We're paying all this money for him. We're going to show off his face. Which I think that kind of takes away some of the mystical and scary nature of Doctor Doom, is that you don't see his face. So yeah, we might see Robert Downey Jr.'s face a bunch. And I think that could take a lot of us out of the movie because we see him, we see Iron Man. You're not going to convince me differently. You know, I feel like it's going to fall into the same issue of, you know, anyone who plays an iconic character, like the Harry Potter kids, for example. It's really hard to separate those two, especially so soon. The other possibility is that he'll be masked pretty much the entire time, and if that's the case, you don't need to cast Robert Downey Jr. You don't need to do that. And now here's where we get into a lot of my strong opinions, which is where I think a lot of the haterade might jump out. I think Robert Downey Jr. is an outstanding actor. But I think a big part of what makes him a strong actor is his face. I think his face is a very key part of his acting. I don't know if he can carry the scenes in the way he'll need to on his voice alone. I also don't know if he'll be able to carry scenes on the way he moves alone. I think having his face is a very key element of his acting. That doesn't make him any less of a great actor, and that's just my opinion on that. And being able to do that kind of physical acting without your voice, I think, is very important if you're playing a masked character. That's why James Spader was the perfect casting for Ultron, because his voice has all of that range to it. His posture, just his posture alone lets you know that something's up. I would love to be proven wrong. I would absolutely love that. I think it'd be great if Robert Downey Jr. can play a whole new character without his face. I think that'd be great, and I would love to be proven wrong in that regard. However, it feels like a situation that not saying anyone else, but I don't think that's gonna really make things much better for me. I'm just gonna go, all right, well, yeah, he acted it well, but why is he here? Why is he back? He shouldn't be here.
Donna, Lynn, Pat, Lori, Shelley, Aaliyah, Rose, Brian, Darren, and Ulysses.
So now we're getting into the point where I'm just gonna name a couple actors who first popped into my brain who I think would do a good job if you want a recognizable actor to do this. And my first thought was Tom Hardy in terms of recognizable figure, but you know, he's Venom, and that's with Sony, but it's not, but it is, but it's not. So we couldn't have him. Very cool to have this be the time that Marvel can get Leo DiCaprio. But there's something about Leo that makes me think that he feels Marvel movies are beneath him. So, and then I thought, okay, well, what if Marvel really wants to reuse an actor that they've had before? What if they're like, no, we need to get people back in the seats. So here we go. Let's just bring someone back. You know, I thought, oh, what about Idris Elba? He played Heimdall in Thor. That's a small enough character, and you know, he can change up his accent. It's fine. He can do that. But also, I don't think he particularly enjoyed his time playing that character, so I don't know if he'd sign back up to be with Marvel. And then I thought, okay, what about Ed Norton? Because hear me out. We already know that he can do a lot with his voice, and I think he'd do a good job of going from Victor Von Doom into the transition of Doctor Doom, and his body acting is really strong. Plus, he played a Hulk that no one cares about, so it's fine. It's perfectly fine. That's just a fun thought experiment.
But I already did something today.
I'm saying it feels a little desperate in terms of Marvel because it feels as though they've run out of things. They need some sort of gimmick to bring people back. And, you know, I'm not in the writer's room. I'm not out there planning out the phases. I don't know how long this has been in talks, how long they've been planning this. It's just looking at it, I'm like, do better, Marvel. Like, you're better than this. You don't need to reuse people like that. We don't have to do that. Once again, I am no expert. I am simply a casual enjoyer of the genre. That's it, just a casual enjoyer. And for those of you who are experts, I love that for you, and I would love to get more actual expert opinion on it, like people who, maybe people who are very deep into the comic books. I'd also love to hear from people who are very deep into the movies and are following every single Easter egg and all that stuff. I'd love to hear from people who, also follow the TV shows or whatever, even though I don't know how that would connect to this, but, whatever. Or, not necessarily like the Marvel MCU shows, but maybe the animated shows. So I would love to hear from that. For those of you who are experts, I think the reality in terms of marketing from a business mindset, I don't think what you want is a main driving point for Marvel. Like, there aren't enough super hardcore fans putting their butts in seats. It's us casuals who have been funding this journey. And that's who is going to be served. And I feel as though there are a lot of casual fans who really enjoy Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and they just want that back again, but they don't necessarily want Doctor Doom. Or they're like, oh, I really want Tony Stark again, and that might be what we get. We might just get Tony Stark in a different timeline, which, yeah, I guess is giving a lot of the ticket buyers what they want. They want more Tony Stark, and this is the most reasonable way to give it to them. So yeah, I'm not super stoked about Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. I don't think he's the right choice for this. I want to be proven wrong. Okay, wait. Well, but what if we got Bryan Cranston to play Doctor Doom?